Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZKTV, Pango Pango, America Samoa. You are watching KVZKTV Channel 2, Pango Pango, American Samoa.
Nei tula o le aso o tatou polokalama masania nei o le sa ili le atamai o lo ilalo wa inga al tatou kolisi tu fatasi I nei mapsanga ia mal tatou prestene le sunga al fo mai a Rose Vaughan maka ivi pato o pa ia mau malu tuila manua o ia o le aleo o ia se upo le au na bai bai I te o se sea na faile malape o lo ia au fulo o lato mtawhaio ia na ai tau no fa pe atu ia ma lo soi fu maua ma lo lava le tai mai moli le bi inga mal faftai le atua ilo na lo fa malo na nga le ia tato ia so o malava pui pui fo tato le atua ile tsunami fo sa tala noi fo I te nu te amale ma fui e aya ia o le atua ia le o lo pui pui mai lava tutuila ma manua Mena e o alo la tai au no fai lunga lo muenga fa ya. Thank you Jesus for another beautiful day. He is so good, isn't he? Ya o nei lai tu la o nei ta fata tanuanga. O mo foi se si foi ava no fa oro e tatu fata si ai male division polo kalama foi le nursing. O le nei polo kalama nursing o le polo kalama matautia ona taua. Ele ngata ele kolisi tu fatas a o tutuila ma manua ele to po se lilo ele to fa longo mai foi fa pea wale lava I teni to sima I tato fa mai ale ai le tato polo kalama nei I nei le tato kolisi tu fatasi o lo o ngalue ma lo sima ma tau mafai ia o ngale nei polo kalama a wa lava ia a tatou whanau, mai e foi o loo mawhauwhau e fia. Whainga luenga as a tene tosi mai, po se tama tosi mai fo. Le lau maua le awa no wha oro, e tatou whatasi ai male instructor professor foi o le Nepolo Kalama, ia Miss Lele Amu, le toi po se lilo tuila manua, tau tua mga luenga foi al nei fali tua o lo fai pea mo tuila ma manua ia o le aino fo mai Miss Amu o lo fai pele nga luenga po mo atatu whanau ia ma lo lava soi fua maua e te oe lele mo le whawanoa ina fo lo teimi e sa valvari e mai foi ma tama ita nei e tatu tu whai e foi I le polo kalama matangofi mal polo kalama foi o lo sapaya e tato malo wa tasi le mea wa ai atu ia io sapaya malo se tato malo polo kalama nei e te whaia ine tato kolis ai se whaia so noanga tato tatala noa fo I polo kalama nursing po fefo o vai atu to atele al whanau le wo mai nei I le nursing but it's so good to see you Miss Amo and I'm so happy that you have found time to be with us at this time so that you can tell our people the wonderful things that's happening with our nursing program here at ASCC.
Faftai lava mercy, faftai mo lava noa. Ya, o nei polo kalama, wa to tele lava il whanau.
Ioi.
Wa to tele wa intelesi I le tafsima. Ya, e wha plokalama lewa iai. E fui ma le plokalama lea sa request mai tina o Director Evelyn mai o e tawa. Yui, e le aila te plokalama i timi nei a wa fui wa tele le pisi. Ya o le nurse aid wa to tele fui. Ya ma le LPN program, ma le RN program. Le ta ma fai atuai ya to tele tato tangata e whainga luenga. Wale e nisi.
Ioe. I whai a onga nei a le te tala noa mai ai.
I le ai. I le alia.
I le wale e nisi e le whanau po le ingisi. O le ingi nurses. Le ingi tamaita i tau si mai.
We were so short of nurses right now because many have decided to go off island. Leo atu lato e whafo nu mamau. To tele foi le stao mai Filipino. Ya wa to foi lato anga. Ela watu mawale nisi. Ya leo fifi ai mato umamfaya unga. Watu tele lava wo mai e avel nei plokalama. Ya ole temine ele I uman mato wa unga. Tua umaile vai asmo mo te sema. Le pisia ya mawale ya ta mai el fana el fainga o ngalwenga. Ya ole fai unga le semester po tau sanga. Ole la fai ya matu lokalama. Ya elua la lokalama le na fai ole nurse aid ceremony. Le balalia tuai ya matua mainga ma wo fo mai matan o mai ta fatasi I o le building le MBC le fale fo wa stato a unga ya o le
asofitu
ya sofitu te sema il è figliono ya u le masina fo le la fa pinim fa pulo vai wa umala to plokalama
umala onga praise God
wa fa lua plokalama talwai e to tele o le nurse aid fast food tasi la to yo umala to plokalama o lo wa ye la to lo wa amata fa ngalwenga le LPG ma le DOH ya a o te mai tai ya lo wa ye fo ye lo whainga luenga le LPG pa pele Department of Health
so fia i al whanau le la wha une le LPN ma le RN
e se furutolu LPN
ka
iui ai te ono ya to lima ya RN
le wha unge ya December
iui
o ka kai maanga ya O le ale te sota inga a le tatou polokalama lele ma le LPG le tatou whetota inga a uma o ngā alwhanau wa iai se ngaduenga alwhanau I te tonu o le o le whalmai whapea foi le connection with DOH
Iui Mato fia lava e le relationship lea Lowa ye la to lowa whainga luenga I o e LPG ma Department of Health ya sa siasi mai le manager le human resource
Almalo
LPG
okay
ya la to officer
Yo le HR
na siasi mai fo I mai tina kule ta le
O le nursing.
The nursing department. Talo no fo e malesi o Emsley. Ya ma te fo o isi fo mai. La e support mai ala to le plokalama. Na siasi mai la le tinale o sa vali ulutu. O iana I guess she met with Sima Mao, the director of nursing, Toto. to see if they could get more of our students, both in the nurse day, the LPN, and the RN, because woman are me alif suswan. Sas yes my lo wa la to mo wangan wenga. So Itali love city you ele lava
le ma na ia lava le fafsuta inga a tātou ma le LPJ ma DOH awa umatua o ngā tamaitai nei ma li i tātou polo kalama ala wa iele ngaluenga alu iai se mea mānaia mānaia foi la le maua ngaluenga anai whanau nei ia awa aulo se polo kalama whai ngōwhie Ile nei polo kalama to become a nurse. And how long does it take to go through this program so then you can get your RN and your LPN? La le umio le onga ale sama itai po le ali ifo ile nursing.
Apa pe unu mai le whanau tonu o la o la tole tu langa leo le college level. Ele umi. Lua tau sanga for the LPN. Ngalua fantasia mai si tai o poloka lama ese sosoani mai fo. Itono kolisi. Ya. Lua tau sanga le LPN. Uma le LPN. Well, I encourage you if I luenga. Atu foi mai, avele RN le the last of the 3 years. Ya va vele atu. Mana o mia foi le experience. Ma le lole luenga. Ma fai na sosuani ala tu. Illa tu wa e fainta.
Yoi. Ia wa lo senga luenga fai ngofi. Being a nurse. I mean, you have to go through all these medical terms and all these how to take care. Lele, so lola ia ole RN, ole LPN. Iai le si mea ngai take a test, international test with the US. What is that called?
Ole NCLEX, ole National Council Licensure Examination. Lewa wa ya tatu since 1984.
Yeah, yoi.
La ole suenga ele mafaya na fainga luenga se si ele pasi le suenga le.
Even here.
Here.
Oh, okay.
Tatu lewa wa tatu itula fono. Itula fono il malo.
Well certified.
All certified, all licensed. Yeah. US certified.
Yes.
Or US licensed.
Yes. That's what's good about our nursing program. You have to go through all that to get certified.
Yes.
US certified.
Yes.
Lele be mo ila ulo from talanga le. Once the nurse is US certified here in American Samoa, ona mafai ona ngamoa le nga luenga I America.
Yes. You are correct. Sa lelo tala o so se isia e pasi le national exam. Le ia Miss Shamate evangelia. Le o ia le licensed practical nurse or LPN. Le la fatataline e suela na RN. E mo waila nga national RN license. Yeah, I life afo.
It pick up right away.
El mele wa ia fafo lo mana o mai tatu tini. Al me te fano no ai. Le wa matana so life afo. Tatu.
Ona olean me la so lai tatu fanau. Ona ole tatomi. I think that's one part of it.
Yes.
It's the salary. I mean, it's so attractive with what they're offering in the US. Why not? I mean, so I hope and pray that someday soon that our government or our LBJ and DOH would think about that, because it's so hard to find nurses nowadays. And if we're going to lose them for off-island,
Yoi. Wala yai
Ko kinga inga fole o ko sua me iska me kiu.
Wala yai for le shortage fa fa America.
Yoi.
Ma territories. Wa shoe ta tal waile ko vitilen na lucia to tell nurses. Ya Olena Tamafai ASCC nursing program. Recruit my now. Ma hope, like you said, si it's a totoni. Si it's a totoni, ma fai retain it to nurse it.
Yeah.
And mela na falonga lela faile reclassification. And I hope ole totoni lata le totoni America.
Okay, great. I hope so. Will you be in this reclassification so you can fight more for our...
I will fight for them, but I don't think I'm included in this reclassification. Yeah, I won't say that.
Let's just leave it at that. But, you know, ole problem lang tato. As much as we want to hold on to our nurses, and that's the only thing is when they get better offers from off island, then we lose them. They take them and leave.
I want to share with you and our audience is that if I we teach them to do everything that's required of a nurse. Off island, wale to say polokalama. Wale mafaina hoy students falemai. Practice like they used to before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of liability insurance. Yeah, so what they do is mata, and follow the nurses.
They're right there.
They're right there. We teach them everything. We teach them the theory. We teach them the skills. And then they take a test to see if they know what they're doing. And then we head on to LPJ.
Yeah. And you have all that here. Right here. I know you have a building right here that you have all those beds and all those things around. That is so wonderful. The other thing I wanted to ask is financially, the help financially for these students. Do they get any help financially by taking this nursing program here?
May I give that question to the young lady?
Oh, okay, sure.
Because they're the ones who are receiving it.
Oh, okay.
So it's best that we ask them.
Then let's go on to the students, Lele. So because of our time, and we want to make sure that we have the girls say a little bit of their career with nursing.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with Siutu. Siutu Masina Upe. Or Masina Lupe. Oikalo 5. Masina Lupe. And Siutu is an LPN. Siutu, can you briefly tell us about your nursing career that you're going through right now, and about your is there any financial help during your schooling here at ASCC?
Yes. Well, the nursing program has been helping me a lot, and through financially we have the ASG stipends.
Oh, good.
The scholarship from Leaky Reed, and also ASCC scholarships that help us financially with the nursing program.
What made you think of taking a nursing career?
Oh, I took the nursing career because I want to help my family, especially my parents. If they get sick, I will help them. I am there to help them, and I would love to help out our LBJ nurses, who is a short staff right now. I would love to go out to the community and give my skills and use my skills as a nurse to help my community.
So your heart is there with nursing. And so far now that you're going to, you're an LPN already, right? So far, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? You're so that you're blessed, and now you're finally going out there working at LBJ or DOH and making use of all this learning and teaching about nursing. Are you enjoying it? Are you?
I will say I'm blessed to have it and passionate about it, because at first I joined without knowledge, but now I'm able to go out with knowledge, and I would love to keep on procrastinating with this knowledge, and soon or later on I will come back for more knowledge.
Oh, good. Go for your LPN. I mean your RN.
Yes.
Oh, so LPN also takes that certified U.S. certified license.
Yeah.
Good. So you've taken it already. Oh, good. And you got passed. You passed.
No,
Did
soon.
you get your results yet? Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, let's pray to the Lord. It'll be a blessing. That's so nice, you two. What are your plans? Will you be thinking of staying here in American Samoa to work as a nurse?
Yes, that's my goal.
Here at LBJ, not like the other nurses that Polele has done there, all the work for nursing and everything. And once they get a nice offer from USA, by American Samoa, give us some encouragement for your young generation, like young women and young men who would like to become, to come and take the nursing program here at ASCC. So for tuanga mo your age group.
Yeah, ole mafuanga tonu lava ole soswani to atunu. It's good to work here permanently here in American Samoa because it's my people, and I know my people very well. So for me, as an American Samoan nurse, I will help my own Samoan people. It is good to go off island, but I would rather stay here where my community give to me, I will give back to them.
Oh, that's so nice. I wish all the other nurses that were left us would come back and Thank you so much, Siutu, for sharing that. And if there's anything else you want to share later on, we have 9 minutes, then we can just jump in. This young lady right here, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, Siutu, you two over here, for an RN. How do you pronounce your name? Why did your mom and dad give you this Shamarte?
Yes.
Shamarte, okay. Tell us, Shamarte, about your experience in nursing. I've seen you at LBJ, and you're doing a great job over there. You're always working. I mean, I was there, and then you're always going around checking out on the patients and everything. Tell us more about your nursing career.
Okay. So I graduated the LPN in 2011, and I started my nursing career as a certified nursing assistant at LPJ. And I haven't done my NCLEX yet until LBJ had a program for the GPNs, which is students that were already done with the program but have not passed the NCLEX. So the LBJ gave the opportunity for the GPNs to come back to get refreshed with the questions and how to answer, and also the subjects that were given to us through the program. LBJ gave us that opportunity to come back to Miss Lele and to get that refreshed courses on so we can take the NCLEX. And we are so blessed because without that we wouldn't have passed our NCLEX. And a few of my sisters also passed the NCLEX
I know one of your sisters is a nurse too. Oh.
Yes. But
I should know, you're my nieces.
But yes, since 2018 or 17, I forgot. We passed our NCLEX, which is we are a certified licensed practical nurse, and we have now been working at LBJ ever since. And from 2011 to now, the shortage of nursing is very, very severe. It's really bad in LBJ, not only LBJ but also DOH. We think that this program really helps our community, but we still need nurses. And with the high school and the colleges coming in at the programs right now, it's really, I am really happy to see a lot of students coming into the program for the nursing program. So
encouraging. Encourage your age group and those, but then it all comes from the heart, Alele. If your heart says that you want to become a nurse and you want to take care of your people, and it's there, come take the program and see, because you're here and you'll be doing a lot of help for them and to guide their way, you know. And before you know it, you're going to find out, my heart is with nursing. I think I'm going to continue on taking it, just like the two girls right here. And I know you're not going to go anywhere. Your parents live here.
If my parents are here, I'm not going anywhere.
That's good. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else you would like to share, about the program here at ASCC? What do you think about the program?
I'd like for Shamata to talk about the COVID experience.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
Yes. So for the COVID, once the island got COVID, we weren't able to help LBJ because of the severe of the infection. But then the DOH gave us the opportunity to go out to the community and get everybody vaccinated. And we were able, the nursing program and the DOH were partnering up to have have each of the villages. We were divided into villages, and we went to each from house to house. That was the hard part. From house to house, going in, all these dogs, canine coming into us.
I know.
And we were getting that vaccination done to everybody. So the first and second dosages, especially the booster shots, first and second boosters, were already been distributed to our community because of the nursing program, and especially the partnering up with the DOH.
Oh, good.
So we were blessed to have that.
So wonderful. And the reception from all those houses that you went to was pretty good? Not like,
Some people were anti-vaccinated, but then we were able to give that education to the people, and especially because it's very important that we need to get those vaccination out to the community. So
good for you.
Yeah.
We have 3 more minutes, Lele, and I'm going to give that 3 minutes to you to fautuanga fu mulmuli so noanga fu il tato polo kalamo lo alo pene tato kolis.
O si fa poponga awa fo I sa fesiri mai polea se sosuani e ia scola sipi a LPJ ma DOH o le ave la tangata po le CNA po le LPN e o mai e o nga e tungi lato. So that's good for the public to know. Our young people who are just graduating from high school or will be graduating. Manaumia Latuf Soswan. So this is the perfect time for them
to come
in.
I miss ya na fa na mana o mai ai le loko fa fena.
It temi nei ele auto se salau ya nurses. Wa alwa ilaro numera. Nena watile foi tu la o fainga luenga il toti.
Yo e toti le fa mai
ya olmena fia kala noa tu I nai tamaitai mali e le umalatua o po o nei fo e le kodisi o mai e susua
very important.
Yeah, ngau la tu tele ngaluenga la e amanoa. I would say over 100 positions that are open. So
for nurses.
If you really want to help your country, your community,
your people,
family, your people.
Yeah, diabetes, high blood pressure. Oh my God, all that, and we really need that. Sosoani, I know, I see that. Yeah, whaftai fo ia mo lātou leo mai sosoani ati oi. Awa sai ele te mina wa aia tuai ati oi wa. We'll go stress out here. But now I see that smile on you, and I praise God to give you all the strength and all the wisdom that you have for our kids here, our youth that are hoping to be nurses, and they're here, and you're here for them. And on behalf of our president, Dr. Rosemont Makaiwi Pato, I'd like to thank you for everything that you're doing for our students, Lele. Thank you for always being here and still here. You know, still here at ASCC. Olo ngau lava ia teleni tato tamaita imali ito si maia wasi tato atunu wa siokia. Thank you, girls. Congratulations. And December 7th and December 9th is the pinning for the nurses. Ya tuila manua. Telia vital no atu. Ya awa uma temi lau talo alo mai alta mai wala valoa. Ai talo sia ia wa fa mala mai no to fingalo il poloka lama matango fio lo faia inei. E Miss Lele Amu ile tato nursing program. Faia o yesi si so fa nau so walo lo fie tuli ma inei tala no ya lele ma vai pole atonu me la lo ma fa wesi walo. Ai on pos se polo kalama na wo mental no atu fa na wo se polo kalama matamo fie ai a fai lava wa ye se fesili pe ai val alma inei tato kolisi tu fatasi ya ai fa manui atu le atu tina matama matolo no fo fale a fai lava wa ye se upu wa le longo mali e la fa fonga anga tuila manua ya fa manga lo mai mato wa o fati malan kelde to fa se fo
Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZKTV, Pangupangu, America, Samoa. You are watching KVZKTV Channel 2, Pangupangu, American Samoa.
Voice of the Sea, learning from experts across the ocean. Welcome to Voice of the Sea. In this episode, we design and build a large-scale science experiment. We'll follow along as scientists plan and prepare a long-term ecological study of Moorea's coral reef. University of California at Santa Barbara researchers Andy Brooks, Rush Schmidt, and Sally Holbrook have been studying the coral reef community, looking at interactions between coral, algae, and fish for almost 30 years. Their recent work has had surprising results, suggesting that corals can protect themselves from algae by growing in groups. This research has tremendous implications for management of coral reefs, as we try to keep an adequate balance of coral and fish abundance in the face of climate change and increasing environmental and fishing pressure.
You know, this experiment really came out of this experiment that we had done previously, where we were actually wrong in what we thought was going to happen. We really thought that if we excluded herbivores from having access to a tile like this that had coral growing on it, that the algae would quickly grow up and overgrow the corals, smother them out, and we would just have a big fuzzy plate of algae and dead coral. And that's 180 degrees opposite of what we found. The coral that were in our full cages that had no access by herbivores or fish that actually consume coral did the best. There was no algae at all on those tiles, or very, very little algae compared to some of the other ones. It's like, well, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. And so there have been other studies that have shown that corals may actually produce some chemicals that function as algicides, which sort of makes sense, right?
Right.
And so this experiment is really meant to test that hypothesis that coral may actually be able to control or at least influence the growth of macroalgae nearby. And where this experiment can inform managers is it may be that there's a critical density of coral. It's not each individual coral, it's only when there are enough corals that they're all producing this substance that it actually can take an effect. And so by having some of these tiles with just a single coral versus others with 4 corals, we can test that question of, is one coral really enough? Can it protect itself, or does it need to be in a neighborhood of other corals? And of course, if it needs to be in a neighborhood of other corals, then that tells managers there's a critical threshold, and if the density of coral on a reef falls below that critical threshold, coral may not be able to stop algae from overgrowing it and sort of taking over all the space on the reef. And so that's a critically important piece of information for managers to have. We're actually doing 2 experiments in one. With this particular experiment, we're asking 2 questions at the same time. One is, what is the effect of the coral on the algae? And then the other one is, what is the effect of herbivorous and coralivorous fishes on corals? Because of course we'll have some corals in cages without any access by the fish, and we'll have some that are open. And so we're actually looking at 2 things with one experiment. And then some of the other questions that we're asking are really more pure research questions about how coral and macroalgae interact and how reefs can recover from disturbance and not go to a state where they're dominated by macroalgae. And some of that will ultimately, hopefully, have management implications as well, but they're not as direct as, for instance, is there this density of coral that's required to maintain some type of control over algal growth. The other part of this is because we're really interested in how the spatial arrangement of the corals and the sort of amount of coral tissue might impact algal growth. We need something to take the place of coral if we don't have all 4 positions on our tile occupied. And so our dummy coral is just going to be a white marble. So it's glass, it's inert, it shouldn't release any compounds that might affect the growth of the algae, and yet it takes up the space, and it's about the same size as the little piece of coral that we'll put on there. So we have 500 marbles that we have to now start gluing onto the tiles.
But the algae could grow on the marble.
The algae could grow on the marble.
It's basically 2 themes that we try to explore. The one is sort of a shorter time frame where we're trying to understand the ecological processes that confer resilience to the coral. So when it gets disturbed, what are the ecological processes that return it to the coral state? Mm-hmm. The second theme deals with the longer time frame, which is these environmental changes that are occurring over longer time frames, like the ocean is warming, it's becoming more acidic, sea levels rising. And so we want to know both how that's going to affect the resilience of the reef, that is the ability to recover from disturbances that will continue to happen, but also how those changes itself are going to affect the composition of the coral community, what it's going to be like. And so we have a series of projects that we've been doing to sort of tackle these various things, and we're finding all kinds of really interesting and important ecological processes that some of which were known before and some of which are new. And so that's really sort of the basis for what we've been doing.
So we've done experiments where we've caged tiles and put them on the forereef and let algae grow. And the purpose of those experiments, or at least one of them, was to ask if we reduce the amount of herbivory on the reef, will we see algae growing? So we had a design of cages where they stepped down in limiting access of these herbivorous fish to the tiles that were inside the cages. So they ranged from full access to basically no access by fish, by the herbivorous fish. And we were asking, how much could we reduce the foraging intensity of these herbivores on this reef here? So one thing about this experiment that'll be very interesting is this effect of how dense corals need to be when they settle as young juvenile animals to suppress growth. In this case, we're thinking growth of algae.
So our cages actually had different size holes in it, and we actually know from baiting them what the grazing intensity, what kind of fish get in there and how often they get in there, how big they are. And so we have this really nice gradient of grazing pressure that we can create from open, so ambient, down to very, very reduced. That almost nothing would be able to get
in
that.
this.
I see.
And so by having larger and larger hole sizes, we gave access to different kinds of numbers of fish grazers. And so we created this grazing intensity experiment. And our hypothesis, as Sally was saying, was that at intermediate grazing is where you'd have the best coral performance, because it's a trade-off between suppressing the macroalgae but not getting nibbled on too much, right? Wasn't the case. Actually, the corals grew the best when they were completely protected.
Wow.
And so that's a really unexpected finding.
Not what we thought.
And we also know, though, at the same time, we had cages like this out with tiles that did not have coral, and algae grew really well on those tiles. So without the little corals, the algae did great in these cages, because most of the fish, like parrotfish, surgeonfish, those things can't get in to nibble on any algae that's growing on tiles.
How densely did you have coral stacked on your tile?
That's exactly the right question. So what we're doing in this experiment was actually testing that new hypothesis now about, is there neighborhood suppression? At what density do you have to be, if there is, to get that neighborhood effect? And so what we're doing now in these complete cages is we're keeping all the grazers out. So we expect that's the opportunity for algae to grow. So we'll have tiles with no corals on it. So that'll tell us how much algae grows, right? Then we'll have tiles with 1 coral on it, 2 corals on it, and 4 corals on it. And that will tell us, is there a density at which you start suppressing algae in the neighborhood? And if it's some sort of threshold effect, it tells you at what density coral has to settle out there for it to actually defeat in the neighborhood a competitor.
In our other experiment, we had 4 corals per tile.
Yes,
and
that's the
so
maximum
there was
density.
1 in each corner. And they started out very, very small. They were about 1/2 inch in diameter, really small baby corals. And then over the 2 years, they grew to almost completely fill the tile.
Wow.
They were almost touching
It was amazing.
each other in just 2 years.
The University of Hawaii's Sea Grant College program focused on Hawaii's coasts and its communities through sustainable development, safe seafood supply, sustainable coastal tourism, hazard resilience, and healthy coastal ecosystems. Hawaii's Sea Grant.
Kosi Island Earth is working to establish new avenues for connecting research scientists with educators and communities. Kosi Island Earth is working to enhance the science and ocean literacy of our island residents and visitors. Kosi Island Earth is working to connect scientific research, traditional knowledge, and ocean policy. Kosi Island Earth, bringing together university, government, research, and community partners to enhance ocean literacy and engage all ocean users in stewardship.
We're going to sort of, with a wire brush, we're just going to go over the surface to get sediment and any loose sort of fouling organisms that have been on there, but we're really not going to scrub it hard enough to take that red crustose coral and algae off.
And you like to have the living coat so that it more closely
resembles the surface of the reef.
Can you explain to me what a crustose coralline algae is?
Yeah, so it's actually an algae, but it forms sort of a hard surface out of calcium carbonate, the same stuff that coral uses. And so it's really a deterrent against herbivores coming and eating it. It's made itself hard and crunchy and unpalatable. But it's also used by a lot of corals as a settlement cue. It gives off an odor, and some corals can sense that odor, and they use it as a signal that, you know, this is a bare area of reef and it's an appropriate substrate for me to settle out on.
So when you're transplanting the little tiny corals onto this, it sort of makes them feel at home.
Yeah. So we have 80 cages right now. We have 40 that are going to be our treatment cages, the cages where we're going to exclude all of the herbivores from being able to access the tile and the corals inside. And then we need 40 more for the controls that we have that are open, and they're actually going to allow access by the herbivores. So we need 80 of these all together. I think we probably have 85 or 90 together in these two water tables. So once we get these scrubbed up and cleaned up, we'll go on to the next phase, which is actually to figure out how we're going to glue our little marbles on here. And our marbles are sort of coral mimics. They don't have any living coral tissue. They're just inert glass balls, but they'll take up the same space as our coral will, and they'll hopefully alter the water flow moving around on the surface of the tile just as a coral would if a coral was there. So we'll glue all the marbles on in their respective positions. Some tiles will have 4 marbles, no coral at all, and so that's a tile that we expect to have a lot of algae on it if it's in a full cage. If it's in an open cage, we actually expect it not to have any, because of course the herbivores will come in and clean it. And then other tiles will have either 3 marbles, 2 marbles, or 1 marble. Once we have all the marbles on, then we'll actually go out and we'll get the coral. And we want the coral to be in the lab for as little time as possible. If we can do it just overnight, that's the best. So we'll go out first thing in the morning, we'll collect the corals, we'll bring them in, we'll have a huge group of people attaching the corals to the plates, measuring the coral, collecting all the data. They'll go then into the cages with the bolts. The cage will get sealed up. They'll go into these big blue tanks of water. This marine epoxy that we use actually works underwater.
Oh wow!
That's the best part about it. So you
can take it out onto the reef.
Yeah, so we actually take it down and use it underwater, but it dries more slowly underwater. And so what we like to do is actually use the rough surface of the tile, just because it gives something for the epoxy to stick to. And I'm going to make a little blob. This is much more than we would use for a coral, but I'm going to just push the marble in there. And my thinking is that if I get this higher than the middle of the marble, it should stick. It's getting really sticky.
So could you do this in the water table?
Yeah, so this is actually, I think, maybe what we ought to do is move to the water table. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to do it. So the marble is really supposed to be our coral mimic. And so if we were to cover the marble completely with epoxy, or almost all of it, then we would actually have to cover the coral to the same degree. And since we're trying to cover as little area of the living coral as possible, we need to leave an equal amount of area of the marble showing, so that it really is as equivalent as we can make it to what we're trying to do with the coral. So see, that's great. That's much better than any of these.
That was like the same size as the marble, about, I think.
Yeah. And so if we could get away with something like that, that would be wonderful. We don't scrape the entire surface of the tile when it actually comes time to evaluate the experiment. We actually have a piece of plastic that we cut squares. The squares are a square centimeter, 1 centimeter on each side, and they're randomly placed on that piece of plastic. And then that fits over our tile and serves as a template. and then we remove everything within that exposed square, so that we're always taking a standardized amount of area and how much material was growing on that standard unit.
And then you analyze that.
And then we analyze that.
So you basically subsample your tile.
Exactly. And so if possible, we try to get multiple samples, multiple subsamples off of a tile. Then that material is identified either visually, or sometimes we have to use a microscope to see some of the smaller structures. But we identify the material that's on the tile, and then it's weighed. We get a wet weight. Then it's put in a drying oven, and it's dried for a couple of days to a constant weight. And then it's put in a muffle furnace and actually ashed. And what that does is it removes all the organic material, and then it's re-weighed after that. And that gives us the sort of amount of organic material per square centimeter of area sampled on the tile. And that becomes the thing that we really use to make the comparison between the treatments.
Exploring Our Fluid Earth is the dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group. The award-winning Fluid Earth and Living Ocean textbooks are now interactive and online. New activities, updated content, and a teacher community. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now freely available. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org.
Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZKTV, Pango America Samoa. You are watching KVZKTV Channel 2, Pango American Samoa.
Vaenga nei ua whaingoina le Torriers, whapupuina leo le Tafuna Warriors, o uma loo a onga i le kolisi tu whaatasi o Amerika Samoa. Ia o lesi foi lea au siva masani lava o tatou proklame fale tausaga ia au talavou metutisi pai malailoa Ita te lua tolu ba
Thank you.